Hey folks, Brendan here from Bluelight, going live to you inside the Bluelight Facebook group. For those of you who are watching this on the replay, this is a group of almost 22,000 individuals who either are looking to join the police or who are in the police or who are actually HR and recruitment managers, because we've got more than several of those inside the group. So serving officers all the way up to the rank of superintendent, all there to help support each other in the recruitment process, and once actually in the police to have an amazing, amazing career. But first, we've actually got to get in. And that's what this live is for you. It's an update on police recruitment in 2023. And if you're watching this on the replay and you're wondering where are all the links that he's talking about to things like the Facebook group, the courses, the webinars, the one-to-ones, the things that he's been doing now for 28 years in the police sector, and having served in the police sector now for 38 years, there's not much I don't know about this process. So check the links below and come and join us. All right, okay, so here we go, folks. 2023, another update for you. I've done quite a few of these. I'm keeping you updated on the news that I pick up from all around the United Kingdom, because this is what I do on a daily basis. You know, I don't do much else. I focus on police recruitment, I focus on police promotion boards, I focus on people succeeding in their specialist interviews and their transfer interviews. This is what I've been doing for 28 years now, continuing to do it and loving every moment of it. Every day I get results coming back from people just like you, emailing me, messaging me, photographs of passing out parades. I couldn't have done it without you. Yes, you probably could have. But the thing is, I've shown you how to succeed first time, guaranteed with that success, to enable you to score really, really highly. That's what we're after. We're not after mediocre here, folks. Not in the Bluelight world. We are after awesome, awesome passes. Mediocre, we'll leave that for the others. And there's a really good reason why we've got to focus on getting beyond mediocre. And I'm going to come to that in a moment. So here we go. Here's the news for you. So there seems to be a big swing from degree holder entry program to initial police learning and development program. So many forces are moving people who initially applied for the degree holder entry program. This is where you join the police and you go to university, as well as doing your learning how to be a police officer operationally with your tutor, all of that awesome stuff. But you also go to university to do a diploma, a postgraduate diploma in policing. Well, there's a problem with this, because this costs the force, whereas the police constable degree apprenticeship is funded by the apprenticeship levy, so they've already paid into that, so they might as well utilise it. The degree holder entry program is paid for by the force. Now, up to autumn, late autumn, beginning of winter 2022, there wasn't really an option to deliver the initial police learning and development program. A couple of forces were managing to cling on to it, but it was on its way out until the Home Secretary, under pressure from more than several policing and crime commissioners, indicated that there needs to be a fourth pathway in a non-degree route. And so that's where the initial police learning and development program, which is what existed before the degree requirement, has now been reintroduced, and forces can just see that the floodgates have been opened. They would much rather run this. Why? Because the satisfaction rates for it are really, really high. The data from the College of Policing tells us this. The data from the College of Policing tells us that the degree programs have massive dissatisfaction rates. Huge, I mean, severe dissatisfaction. So there's something not quite right there. And if I was a chief constable, I'd be thinking, well, I can pay a load of money to send them to do a degree, postgraduate diploma that they're going to be dissatisfied with, or I can put them on the far cheaper initial police learning and development program, which we know works. It's tried and tested. It works. Let's put them on that. So that's what's going on there, folks. Watch out for more non-degree routes. I know for one force, their whole degree programs pretty much collapsed. All the tutors have left. So it's in disarray, complete and utter disarray. I'll keep you updated as I hear more. I'm not going to mention the name of that force. Not yet, but I will. But my understanding is that it's in complete disarray. It's just all fallen apart. And that's something to watch out for as well, because a lot of the contracts that were given to universities 3-4 years ago were for 3 or 4 years. So it'd be interesting to see how many universities actually renew the contract, because they don't have to. They don't have to provide this degree program for the police. And there's going to be fewer numbers, more about that in a moment. There will be fewer numbers. There's no doubt about that. There's going to be fewer numbers. So because there's going to be fewer numbers, where's the incentive on running more degree programs when we've got all of these tutors, we've set everything up, we've got all the rooms available, we've got the degree program, everything's set up for it, but there's no student police officers, or there's very few of them compared to over the past 3 years. So we may have seen the boom, and that boom was because of the 20,000 uplift. Now the police normally recruit about 7,000 a year anyway, just to cater for those who are leaving, either through retirements or resignations. We've seen a bit of an increase in that over the past year or two. It's been pushing sort of 8,000, I believe. It's hard to get the data. But on top of that, there was a commitment to recruit 20,000 police officers over a 3-year period. That ends this March. If you're watching this on the replay, by the way, it's March 23. We're halfway through March 23. There's about 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks left before that's the end. The uplift finishes. The funding's gone. Each force gets massive amounts of money to fund these additional police officers. I know what you're going to say. They're not additional because the Conservative Party stripped the police of 21,000 officers over a decade, so replacing them with 20,000 is still a net loss. And I agree with you, but dress it up however you want. They're still additional to what we had 3 years ago. So it's put massive strain on the police. They've been having to recruit like 15,000, 16,000 a year, as opposed to the normal 7,000 a year. Well, that sort of 15,000, 16,000, it's going to drop off a cliff edge now. Why? Because there's no more funding for it. And forces have been desperate to get people through the door, which means that I know standards have been lowered. I know they've been lowered. I know the reason why some forces haven't been running a final interview is because they're worried that too many people will fail. I know this because I've got my spies throughout the force. I'm quite prepared to say that for certain forces, the reason why they don't do a final interview is because of their concern that they will fail too many people, which means they're not going to hit their target. So there's a lot of risk there for them, especially with the risk to legitimacy of the police because of all the scandals that come out of the police recently. So there's some big problems there around the recruitment targets, and if they don't hit them by the end of March, they've got to pay financial penalties. I believe it's something like £24,000 per target not hit. So for each officer they don't recruit that's within that target set, they've got to pay the government back. Well, not even back, they don't even get the money in the first place. It's like a fine of, I've heard two figures actually, 17,000 and 24,000, but I've heard the 24,000 figure more than several times. But I'm just putting it, trying to be balanced here. It could be 17,000 because I've heard that figure as well. And these are from trusted sources, of which I have loads. I've been doing this now for 38 years. I've been in the police sector for 38 years, coaching and supporting people for 28. I've got my spies, ethical spies, by the way. Every police officer's got their covert human intelligence sources. I've got chizzies out there. Do not worry, I've got my good developed chizzies. And I won't say who they are. And that's why I'm very cagey sometimes about the force, because I don't want anyone to get identified. So, universities, I think that could be interesting, because if they drop it, no other university is going to apply it and say, well, I will do it for you instead. Well, if there's a good reason why they're dropping it, then it's probably not financially viable. Universities are not the public service that does things that aren't financially viable. Cash is king, and it's got to bring the money in. And if it doesn't, there's no point in running the course. So, that's that news. Right, because recruitment's going to fall off a cliff edge, and a lot of forces now have closed up the recruitment window. Why? Well, because I know one force in particular, and I'd rate this as B21, as in, that's old intelligence ratings, by the way, that it's reliable information from a reliable source. I believe some forces, one of them being Lancashire, have already indicated to their potential recruits that they're not going to recruit again until mid or back end of 2024, because they've got that many potential candidates in the pipeline already. They don't need to recruit for the rest of the year. So it's highly likely that we are going to see a number of police forces just stop recruitment completely, because they've already got enough people in the pipeline from the uplift recruitment programs. They just don't need to open up the recruitment windows, and they're going to have less intakes. Why? Because we're going from 16,000 a year to about 7,000 a year, or even less. Because if we get the budget squeeze that I'm expecting, because it's going to be a brave government that decides to take on the health sector and the education sector, because they're in such a mess at the moment, what government would take them on in terms of underfunding them even more? The police, though, they've just had funding for 20,000 additional officers. I think we can afford to pull back a little bit of funding from them, or even just not give them an increase in their funding. Just keep the funding as it is now, which is actually a real terms net reduction in funding because of the cost of living, because of inflation. So there's a lot going on there. And I know from my spies and forces that they are worried about the costs of recruiting and keeping the numbers where they are. It's like a repetition of 12 years ago. What did forces have to do 12 years ago? They had to make cutbacks, they had to cut the budgets, they had to cut the cloth to manage the money coming in. It's very simple. Money coming in has to equal money going out. If it doesn't, you're bankrupt, you bust. And a force can't go bust. So they've got to balance the books, and if they don't balance the books, they're in trouble. So they already took out all the reserves, they sold off all the police stations, they sold off all the resources. The only other place they could go for cutbacks is staff. So they got rid of a load of staff. Norfolk got rid of all of their PCSOs. There's no PCSOs in Norfolk. So forces did bold things like that, but you can't make a police officer redundant. So what did they do there? They just let them resign or retire, and they just didn't recruit into those places. So forces like my old force, Grace Master Police, went down from 8,100 to 6,000. 6,000. Oh my goodness. Those were tough times. And they were recruiting just 40 a year, 40 police officers a year. That barely made a dent. So I think we may see the reintroduction of that, depending on how much of a squeeze the next austerity round is. No one's using the A word, are they? No one's calling it austerity, but look, the country's in a mess. There is no magic money tree, as one Prime Minister once said. So the police, I think, will be an easy target. So what's that going to mean? Well, forces are being very vague at the moment, even for people who are in the recruitment pipeline, who have, towards the end of it, they're not going to get recruited by the end of March, but what they believe is that they're going to be in an intake at some point in the future. City of London Police, one of my clients have just made an inquiry with them today to say, so when is that likely to be? It might be September, might be. I'm hearing lots of might be. Our plan is to. I'm not hearing any commitment. I'm not hearing forces committing to, in September, you will join us. I'm not hearing any of that. And I've heard this all before. Roll back 1 decade. Roll back over a decade, 12 years ago, 10 years ago. Roll back that long when I was doing exactly the same as I'm doing now, helping people to support people to have awesome, amazing careers in the police, to succeed in the recruitment process. So over 15,000 of you have either been on my webinars, seminars, one-to-ones, online courses. But there's so many of you out there have succeeded. And how you succeed, how you're going to continue to succeed in the moment, in this future where I think there's going to be less recruitment, stand by. I'm going to tell you how you're going to be able to do that. So that's a worry as well. Forces aren't committing. They're just saying might be, we plan, could be, and they're just not committing. I know one force is saying that our next intakes after the current ones will be February 24, or might be. We plan to. So again, phrases like that. Some forces, West Midlands Police, I believe, are going down the road of recruiting internal only. So recruiting from their detention officers, PCSOs, special constables, So that might be something to consider if your force has decided to stop recruiting. If you're in the current recruitment process, start shopping around. So if you've got a pass in your online assessment centre, see what other forces, if you can move geographically, are prepared to accept it. Especially if you get any vague statements like, we plan to, we might do. You know, when's my interview going to be? Well, we're planning, we're hoping it might be in May sometime. No, we've got to pin them down a little bit, folks, because if they don't commit, I've seen it happen. I've seen intakes cancelled before. Cheshire have done this, West Midlands Police have done this, Sussex have done this, more than several forces have done this. You've got an intake, you're on a specific intake, you've got a start date, and then Cheshire did this quite a few years ago. I think it was around 4, maybe 5 weeks before the intake was due to start. Just got a, sorry, we're not doing it. That's the end. That's the end of the road for you. There's people who planned and people had actually moved across the country for this. So, not good. Not good. So we need to make sure that we keep our options open by applying to as many forces as we can. And you are allowed to do that. College policing rules, you can apply to as many forces as you want. So what else is going on? I think we'll see the increased use of talent pools. I know from my contacts in police recruitment, the police recruitment world, that forces aren't looking at stopping recruitment completely. And they learnt the lessons from that and the disasters it caused in terms of their capability to recruit in the future. You can't just switch it off and then 2 years later switch it back on again without a load of redevelopment of staff. So that a lot of forces now have decided they're going to keep recruitment going, but in much smaller numbers. So what that means is we may see the increased use of talent pools. What's a talent pool? Well, they were used a lot pre-uplift. This is where if you passed your assessment centre, you would go into a talent pool. So let's say you passed it with a score of 55%. That's, you've passed. It's just a pass. What will happen is if there's 300 people that have passed, but there's only 50 vacancies, and they can only interview 100 for those 50 vacancies, then they'll take the top scoring 100 individuals out of that talent pool and interview them. And if 70 pass the interview, they will take the top 50. That's just the way it works, folks. That's the way it is. And that's how the talent pools work. Because if you don't pass, you then just go back into the talent pool. Or, as some forces like Cheshire do, they just say, hey, well done, you passed everything. However, your scores weren't high enough, so you're now out of the process completely. Good luck in the future. They even wrote back to some of them to say, would you like to apply next time? They did that with some of their internal candidates who were most disgruntled about that. Bit disappointed in Cheshire. That's my old force. That's the first force I joined. I've been in 3 forces. Been in Cheshire Constabulary, then I went to the Bermuda Police, and yes, that was awesome. And then there's me up there in Special Branch. There, see that photograph there? That's me in Special Branch in Bermuda, and that's me on the intake there. And yes, we did wear shorts, and it was awesome. It really was, as you can imagine. So, yeah, my old force, you know, come on, step up a little bit, Cheshire. Don't be so flaky. You're not the only force that's a bit flaky. I'm not going to start the list tonight, but there's several who've been flaky over the years. So what are we going to have to do? Well, we're going to have to make sure we score the highest marks. And that's where I come in. If you're still watching this now, it means that you're really interested in ensuring that you get one of those places. Because although there's going to be smaller numbers, it still means someone's going to get recruited. It might as well be you. It should be you. It deserves to be you. You've shown this interest. You're still here now. Whether you're watching this on a live or you're watching this on the replay, you're still here now. At the moment, I know from an FOI that one of my friends has done Freedom of Information Act information request. About 1 in 8 get in nationally. About 1 in 8 candidates get in. I suspect, depending on the force, that will go up to about 1 in 15. The highest I've ever seen is 1 in 28. That's from government data. I think it was for West Yorkshire Police at the time. It was one of the Yorkshire forces. Only about 1 in 28 were getting in. Met Police will always hover around, I think, about 1 in 5. 1 in 4, 1 in 5. It depends on the force, it depends on their needs. So it's not a national thing, but the national average at the moment is about 1 in 8 get in. We're going to see that, I think, turn into about 1 in 15, 1 in 20. That's what austerity did. It was a lot harder to get in, but you could still get in. So don't lose hope, folks. Don't lose hope. I know a lot of you are watching this because I can see the names. We've got Alison, we've got Lee, we've got Gary, we've got Marguerite, Caesar, Jessica, JMD, we've got Sarah, Georgia, Chris, James, Lewis, Albie, C Plaster. I know, can't remember your real name. So many of you here watching this live. I know you're absolutely, most of you are actually on my courses already because I've met you, I've worked with you, we've been on those webinars. For those of you who haven't, then come and join those webinars. Check the links below. Seriously, I mean this, you're going to be so amazed by the content of the online webinars, the recordings of them, the actual online course, that you will want to stick around and stay. If within 24 hours though you decide it's not for you, just let me know and I'll give you a full refund. Here's another thing. If you fail your assessment centre or fail your interview and you've done the work I've asked you to do, because I'll show you the way, but you've got to do the work. That's the deal. If you've done that, if you've done your side and you still fail, I'll give you a full refund. It's a no-brainer. I've only given 2 over the past year. You know, it works so well for all of us. The question is, I'm all in on this journey with you. Those of you who are here know I am. Give me some loves and likes if you know that I'm all in on this journey with you. I work hard to ensure that you succeed. That's what I do. This is what I love to do. Are you all in though? That's the question. Are you all in on this journey? If you are, check the links below. Come and join us. It's like I said, if it's not for you within 24 hours, let me know, full refund, no questions asked. If you fail and you've done the work I've asked you to do, just let me know on the day that you get your fail notification and I'll give you a refund. It's that simple. That's how committed I am to supporting you. Come and join me on those webinars. Come and check out what we do, because it is amazing and we do get amazing results. The results we aim for in the online assessment centre, we don't just aim for a pass, we're aiming for 90% plus, and we consistently get that. Don't just take my word for it though, check the Trustpilot links below and you'll see how we are absolutely 5-star every day of the week. I work really hard for those reviews, and thank you to those of you who give me those reviews. They mean so much to me. When I read them all, I answer them all as well. I reply to every one of them because I know you've put your heart and soul into those reviews. I give it you back. And then you come and join me on the rest of your journey, the Enforced Advancement Group. Currently, I've got someone who's going for superintendent who was one of my first clients about 11 years ago. How awesome is that? I'm helping them prepare to be a superintendent. They were one of my clients, joined the police 11 years ago. That is just amazing. That's the sort of relationship I love to have with you. Let's make it so. Let's make it so. Come and join us, folks. Come and join us. All right, that's me off my soapbox. I'll catch up with you soon, folks. If you've got any questions, please do let me know. And if you're watching this on the replay, please do like and subscribe, because you're going to get these dropping into your inbox every other day. I'm making videos like this every other day. I'm going live in the Facebook group every other day. And watch out for my reels as well. There's a reel almost every day that goes into the Facebook group. There's so much stuff I can give you to help you on your journey, get you kick-started. Then come and join us on the webinars. Let's finalise it. Let's get those high marks. Let's get that warrant card in your pocket. I'll catch you with you soon, folks. Bye-bye for now.